Welcome to everyone. We are going to present to you in a few minutes the work we are doing with Association Milim Sompara AMSP, who is a farmers organization in Burkina Faso. It's about data management through the creation of a database which will improve the learning and accessibility of AMSP's data to its partners. This presentation will revolve around two main parts. The first part will concern the problems, opportunities, and our solution, and the second part will concern the creation of the database in practice. MSP is a farmers organization based in Burkina Faso with more than 5,000 members in five communes. AMSP in these activities play a central role between farmers and many researchers. Since 2006, AMSP has been part of CCIP project and has partnered with many research and development projects that integrate agroecological transition into their approach. MSP was recently awarded a small grant for which it was PI for the first time through for the FRN Iran MSP project. This project contributes to capitalize on experience and synergies between projects in order to share them with farmers and other actors. This capitalization goes through for the creation of a database by collecting and cleaning all files available in MSP, then storing them securely on the cloud to make the data easily exploitable.
So, as Yusuf mentioned, AMSP has been involved in many different projects, and this caused an issue in actual fact because they only had what data the researchers and the principal investigators shared with them. So, AMSP had data records which were in different formats, and there was little overview or little connection made between the different projects. AMSP also didn't have a single data storage location. The data was stored on computers, on USB sticks, but also on paper. And so data was getting lost, unsurprisingly. This also meant that people had to go back to farmers to ask them to tell them again what data they had collected. So now that AMSP can take control of their data, there's a lot of opportunities, not only for AMSP, but also for the wider West African TCRP community. So with careful data management, we can gain deeper insights into what data we have, and there's a lot of data there. We can also increase the accessibility of data and make sure that more people can access it. This means that farmers can have a more central role in agroecological research, and they can control some of the research that's conducted. We can also facilitate research and research processes by encouraging collaboration between all of the different parties, and of course by economizing time, money, and resources. So, inspired in part by Fuma Gaskia in Niger, who created an app to help manage their data, the RMS team are suggesting a database as a solution. So we're going to create a database in the cloud, which will store all of AMSP's data, but also any other related CCRP researcher projects and their data. We will back up all of the data to enable secure and safe storage, which will also have manageable access rights. We're going to collate and link the related parts of data. And we're going to create a database that will be easily searchable and easily updatable. This means that it needs to have an accessible interface so that all of the different researchers can interact with it, and so that lots of farmers, or all of the farmers, can access it to review their data and actually evaluate their own practices. we're really excited by the idea of enabling connections between researchers and farmers, because crucially, we want to promote research that is, of course, directly beneficial to the farmers themselves. So moving on to the second part of this presentation, looking at the practical aspects of the database, I'll hand over to Isuf.
We are working with all data storage in AMSP since 2006. The dataset contains many types of data, including metadata, who are pictures, videos, audios. These data, narrative data, data in paper format that is ever typed or scanned, and many others data. Many of these data are agronomic data from trial and demonstration, economic survey data, seed production, and marketing data. We have three major databases in our cloud system, which are Postgres, Storage Bucket, and Google Drive. We are using these three databases because we have some of the data who are too big. After organizing the data and cleaning them properly, we have converted the Excel file into rectangle data, and we are importing them into the Postgres database. We will then import the metadata into Storage Bucket and the others data into Google Drive. The metadata will be created a folder which will allow us to describe length between our data.
So as Isuf mentioned, there's a lot of steps, even in just uploading documents into the cloud. We've got a lot of work to do in order to do that. But we have some more steps. Once that has been done, we're going to identify the patterns in the data to help determine what structures we want to use in our data and how to create models. The third step will be to use these models to enable direct integration between the new data and the new documents into the cloud solutions. And the fourth step will, of course, be to create this accessible interface that we've already been talking about that will enable both researchers and farmers to access all of the data. Now, looking at the future, we want to underline that this is not just about AMSP. We're looking at creating tools which are reusable between different organizations. So, for example, there are parallel efforts in Kenya at the moment with the Agroecological Hub, who are also looking at creating a database for how to best collect data, manage data, and use the data, which is part of this whole FRN approach. So what we're really excited about is making it easier for farmer-led organizations to control their data and have ownership of it. Why? Well, because if farmers own their data, then all of the power relations within FRN research get transformed. So we want farmers to have greater power, basically, within the research process. And this is the really big important point, and hopefully we can discuss more of that afterwards in the questions. Just to highlight then that some of the tools we're looking at are mostly no-code solutions. So in terms of data collection and management, we're looking at ODK, chatbots, and apps. For the analysis, we're looking at Shiny dashboards and RInstat. And to close the data loops and for feedback, we're going to be looking again at chatbots and apps. So again, these are no-code solutions. And they're things that IDEMS is working with. And is really exciting to be developing with AMSP at the moment. So thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to answering your questions.